He's such opportunity. The left hand, the right hand over the top. The
Destroyer, Ben. And it's a blessing to be fighting back on British soil.
Is there a high level of respect between you and Junior now?
I mean, I wish him well. You know, I know he's gone to the hospital. I've heard he's got a broken jaw.
Today he got beaten up. And you know, see, Eubank, Chris was spiteful in that ring, if you can tell. He could knock him out anytime he wanted, but he didn't want to. Just fucking using the jab and it's hurting him and it's hurting him.
All the emotions after that, mate. Just unbelievable. I mean, honestly, what I saw there, I can't even bother to moan about the scorecards because I couldn't be prouder. I mean, listen, I know me and Junior have had our ups and downs, but unbelievable respect to him. But for my man, Conor Benn, you've just seen the beginning, in my opinion, of one of the biggest stars in British boxing, the people's champion. And for all the rubbish he's been through over the last couple of years, and I know how good and clean this kid's heart is, to see him, you know, I don't think he's quite aware yet of the
all the way through. On edge you see we're good.
Were you impressed by Conor because ultimately he was the lighter fighter in there tonight?
Yeah, you know, Eubanks is no Golovkin. You know what I mean? You could see the way he started to look tired, but you know, Conor had that energy. You know, moving up the weight, he had more energy inside him. But you know what I mean? Equally matched. You know what I mean? It lived up to the hype, and you know what I mean? They didn't let the fans down.
Who won the fight, Conor?
You may have won the fight, but you're the one in hospital, not me.
If you take a man's soul, that usually means you win the fight.
You won the fight.
I've never seen someone's soul get taken and they still win.
So I look at you now and you ain't the same.
The truth is we both ended up in hospital and you know, I was there for dehydration and you were there for the...
How much weight did you put on after the weigh-in?
Listen,
after the weigh-in,
we're not
was you 3 pounds under rehydration
into weight talk.
Looking ahead to the match, Jones Jr., who previously worked with Eubank, shared with Talkport that he is leaning toward his old pupil. However, all it needs is one powerful shot from Benn to stop the match, even while stepping up in class. I feel Eubank is clearly the bigger fighter, the more skilled fighter. However, you can never discount Benn's one-punch power away from him. If Benn catches just one, then who can tell what may occur? I prefer Eubank, however, Benn starts from 140.
Think he's calm because of the size?
Yeah. Is that his best route to victory, just to impose himself?
Yeah.
It's a truly hard match for Conor. I'm not going to suggest he can't take it, Roy Jones Jr. shared with Talksport. To me, his best shot is to catch a big punch, and it doesn't stop him. It's brutal. Chris is a much better fighter. He's improved his basics and made himself superior. He's going to be very tough to overcome for any fighter, especially one that is smaller than him. However, we saw Liam Smith do it, so I'm convinced that gave Benn much more belief of doing the same. It's going to be a fantastic match. However, I feel Chris will have the edge as he is just bigger.
Eubank's looking at Conor Benn, he's talking to him, he's thinking to himself, when do I splat this egg around the side of his head? When do I do it? How do I do it? Do I put it in his face? Do I put it on his head? Is he going to see me? Because if Conor would have seen him, he might have blocked it and check hooked him. But it was quick. He distracted Conor by saying, what did you say? Then he reached for the egg and he clattered him right around the side of the back of the ear and the face. And the egg yolk went everywhere. A lot of the yolk missed him, so it wasn't that embarrassing where he's dribbling with egg.
Froch knows what it's like to be fighting a fierce enemy after plenty of heated preparation. His first match with George Groves turned into exactly that after the young fighter got under the champion's nerves with plenty of mental tactics ahead of the first bell. Shortly after the match commenced, Froch was knocked with a big right punch and later acknowledged overlooking Groves. He won the match by controversial ending, then got a much more clear win in the historic showdown at Wembley. Eubank has already rattled Benn by breaking an egg in his face at the first Moose event, as a reference to one of the reasons provided for Benn missing a drug check ahead of their first match in October. Eubank will also have the size edge on the night. He has battled as high as super middleweight against current or past world champions, including Groves, James DeGale, and Arthur Abraham. And Benn will be moving up 2 classes to face him for this fight on April 26th.
Bank, you've got to say, he's a wide favourite. He's boxed George Groves. He's been in there with
Arthur Abraham.
He's a big punch in super middles. Do you know what I mean? And you know, his punch resistance might not be what it once was, and his might not be the fighter he once was. I'd say he probably is a little bit sharp, but you know, Conor Benn hasn't beaten anyone or fought anyone of the stature of the people that he's performed against, has he, Eubank? If you look at his resume, it's
the wins against Arthur Abraham and James DeGale. As super middle as well.
Speaking on his own frock on facing the Cobra, favored with the bigger, more skilled fighter, I just feel that all the aspects, who's done what, who's the bigger, tougher fighter, who's got the skill at world class, you have to say Chris Eubank Jr. Jr., he's fought at a higher class, and even at a bigger class. He belongs at world-class level where Conor Benn has done nothing. Yes, he stopped out Chris Algieri, a past champ, and looked great doing it. However, it was away after his peak, Chris Algieri. If I'm going to choose who is my clear favorite for this match, I'm going to choose Chris Eubank Jr.
And the close loss to Billy Joe Saunders, but the loss to Liam Smith, that was such a bad loss, but he rectified it, wasn't it?
But he rectified it in the rematch, and you know, and Liam's a good fighter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. He was a good fighter. And in the rematch, he was dead himself, wasn't he? He was fucked himself. Do you think that he's a heavy favourite, or do you think he's a slight favourite?
I think he's a heavy favourite. I don't see what you can base, unless you're just going on like hype or something. But I don't see what you can't. I don't see what you can. You got to look at facts.
Past world champion Amir Khan went the way of the size as he gave the match who had the weight edge.
I've initially started off with Chris, even though I wasn't impressed with his last fight, even though I think the inactivity of Conor for the last 15 months might affect it, even though I think he's the older fighter of the two. I'm side towards Chris, but I'm going to wait until the weigh-in and give you my definitive answer when I see them both on the scales and see what they look like.
Khan shared, I was saying Conor was going to take a couple of weeks earlier. I thought that he was more of the fighter. However, then seeing at the size gap and understanding he's going up a class, not up one, but maybe 2 classes, these classes are made for a purpose. And even though I went up and faced Canelo, I know the change. However, then again, Chris Eubank is no Canelo. However, I still think that Eubank has a lot more weight, more force, more power, and the reach and the size over Conor Benn. I've got him taking that match. Now, Ben Shalom, Chris Eubank's manager, predicted in favor of his fighter, Eubank Jr. Shalom predicted it's going to be a firefight. These two guys don't box on the back foot. They're not defensive fighters. They're at their best when they're fighting. They're warriors.
Very hard, so I'm worried for Conor Benn. Chris Eubank Jr. is hard to get completely locked in, let's be honest. We've seen it on occasion. He is ready. He has had a fantastic camp. He is training for this properly. He's had a great camp with Jonathan Banks. He stayed in London. He's not gone anywhere. And he's ready to put on a demolition job.
I feel they've got too much ego to box on the back foot. I feel they're going to face each other in the middle of the ring, and it's going to be an absolute war. It's not just the names. It's not the history. It's not just the rivalry. However, it's the actual styles of the match. It's going to be absolute madness from round 1. Shalom was so confident in his guy that he is ready to accept a £1 million bet placed by Ben's manager, Eddie Hearn. He made that bet with me, Shalom shared. Make sure if you talk to him that he keeps to it, because suddenly he's trying to back out of it. If you didn't want it, I don't know why he mentioned it up. He made the bet.
Making for a fantastic fight, but yeah, Chris is Chris.
You know, the people's champion is Michael Watson. He always has been. You know, during our time in the 90s, he was the people's champion. So where are these people today? Stand up for him. by not going along with the nonsense and the circus that's been created for this farce of a fight, which is between one fighter who is at 2 or 3 weights above the smaller guy.
There have been questions asked about whether such a bet is allowed, as British Boxing Board of Control license owners, which Shalom and Hearn are in their position as managers, aren't allowed to bet in matches they are involved in. Shalom, however, insists that he has been given the green approval to go ahead with the bet. "I've been told I can do it. We can do it." He doesn't want to do it now, however he's a big man with a lot of cash, and so he should keep to it, Shalom shared. He should keep to his word, and we should get it on. An 80-foot ring in theory will make it harder for Eubank Jr. to box and move, as we've seen him do in past matches, and make it easier for the powerful Benn to close off the room in order to land big power shots. Shalom, however, believes that Eubank Jr. will face Benn head-on Saturday.
It's above the smaller guy. The smaller guy in Conor Benn he has had his career destroyed for one guy. Because once you go up to 160, going down to fight, then at 147, it doesn't work. These rules are in place to provide a rail for him for his career. My son coming down from 168 to 160 puts his life in danger because I know what it is. I know what it is.
The best chance for Benn is that Eubank's struggle to meet with the mass limits leave him artificially weakened and unable to maximize the full of his body advantages. The younger fighter may well seek an early finish, just as Liam Smith pulled against this rival when finding him cold back in 2023. With Eubank being taller and aiming to manage the range, Benn will need to get near and busy attacking the torso on the interior. Though we predict him to drop the match, he could end it having launched more shots than his rival. Regardless, Benn and Eubank have chosen to inscribe their names on a cross-generational legacy. And this they did in intense fashion. And that's all for now. For the very finest updates on news, moments, events, and happenings in the world of boxing, stay linked with us by subscribing to our YouTube platform. And don't forget to turn on alerts to get notified when we post quality content like this. Until next time, peace.